is a big idea, a new world order.
Your world is not what it seems. Alex answering. Outside the box.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is August 21st, 2011. I'm your host, Alex Ansary, with you live for the next hour. And tonight on Outside the Box, we're going to talk about natural solutions. We're going to be focusing on your health in response to the type of world that we live in today. And so, with me tonight for the third time is Micheal Sunanda. Thank you for coming on again. And Michael and I bumped into each other at the park the other day. And we're going to be talking about his newsletter and his website and things along those lines. But it's one thing to talk about the problem and the GMO and the poisons in the air. And it's another thing to talk about the things that we can do, the foods that we should be eating, like, organic fruits and vegetables. And so, Michael, thanks for coming on.
Yes, I'm so glad to be here to share a bunch of organic fanatic things. Yeah, and natural ways to relax and learn. Because when I graduated from college twice, by the second time, I was so dumb because of all the limits in the educational system. Mm-hmm. If you think about schools, you don't even want to think about it.
Right.
Most adults don't. We forget about it because it was too bad, like caught in a prison. So then where do we learn? And I started learning about the time that I got a master's degree in family counseling.
Okay, and that was in
71.
71?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I'm getting younger. I went through a long period of doing yoga and qigong for decades, but now I'm getting younger, meaning physically stronger, more alert, more energy. Doing qigong now for 10 years.
I don't know if you guys can tell, I was sweating. We were on the air because we were literally racing just to get the show set up. So we're exercising here at PCM TV as well, and that's...
Sweating is one of the essential functions, and there's in health there's 15 organs of elimination, and there's 30 functions of elimination, including birth and bleeding for women's fertility. And if those functions get blocked, then we get toxic.
Okay.
So that's a kind of a definition of toxemia, which is a definition of sickness or infection.
Okay.
See, the medical, we'll go into this, the medical profession is wrong because they blame germs. Germs are everywhere. They're in the dirt, the air, the water, your body, every cell. And it's kind of, we redefine it as microbial balancing. And we breathe them. We breathe bacteria in the air. So you can't really escape it, so we're working on balancing it. And that's what macrobiotics is and all the organic health movements.
Can I tell the audience a little bit about your newsletter?
Sure.
Okay, so for those that don't know, and we have the information under his name on where you can Google to find out what's on his website. But he talks about, and this is why he's on the show tonight, detoxification. He also talks about the birth process and birth trauma and how that can have an effect on humans and their behavior. He also talks about reflexology and a number of other things, but there's a common theme with all the stuff that's in the newsletter. It doesn't require money. That's one thing I noticed when I look. This doesn't seem to require money.
Do it yourself.
It doesn't seem to require the government, and it doesn't seem to require a certain structure that a lot of people are accustomed to. I'm hearing a lot of people, Michael, talk about how they need health care. They need health care. And the focus is so much on the system and what we can do with money. And I think that we do need to be healthier, but as a system, and I believe it is crashing, this financial system, we need to be looking at other alternatives. So where would you like to...
Well, I call it do-it-yourself. And in the 70s, when I started learning this, doing yoga and massage and dancing and meditation. We call it do-it-yourself healthcare. And it's so simple. It's like breathing.
Oh, yes.
And
that's what that is.
Conscious breathing. Well, most people forget to breathe half the time.
And breathing is important.
Well, it's
They say 3 deep breaths.
It's a healing.
Okay.
Breathing is healing. But if you're breathing toxic air and you're not sweating, then your body holds toxins inside. That's why the word detoxing is real healing method. It's a healing. But there's 30 ways to detox.
Okay.
And you can detox your kidneys, your liver, your intestines, your skin, your mouth.
And from what I've seen, when people are detoxing, they're letting go of stuff. Heavy stuff can sometimes come out. Is that correct?
Are you talking about physical things or emotional things?
Well, we saw something the other day where someone was detoxing on their 14th day, and there was an emotional outburst.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the possible link between that being, look at a smoker, for example. I'm 4 days without a cigarette at the moment. I think I'm doing quite well. What does the audience think? But, but I'm really trying because I understand how toxic nicotine is in our society. And so that's why I keep coming back to never give up the desire to quit.
Well, we talked about the desire and how strong the desire is. Part of the healing thing is to actually feel the toxins, the problem that they have, whether it's in your nerves, in your lungs, or whatever, whether you get fever, whether you get cold. The tendency is in smoking, I smoked for 10 years tobacco, the blood, increased heart rate, blood pressure, and they get a little bit of a head rush, and then have your skin temperature drop. So see, and usually we're so numbed out from school and birth trauma and parents that we don't even feel the subtle changes like that. Like when I quit smoking after 10 years, I was disgusted with the smell of it, absolutely revolted by it. And that was one of the big things that got me to quit.
So we were talking about addictive tendencies stemming from something else, and you're talking about birth trauma. Something I don't know a whole lot about, but I've learned a lot from you and some things. So give us kind of an overview of what is you're talking about, and then from that going into what you call rebirth.
Well, rebirthing is a healing process, but rebirth is more of a general, change.
Tomato, but yes.
Well,
rebirthing
is a breathing process to release trauma from your childhood.
Okay.
Includes abuse.
I'll shut up and listen.
Being stuck indoors, for example. We like right here, we're indoors.
Right.
So if we have to stay indoors when we grow up, and stay in school 6 hours a day, that's prison.
Yes.
And we were educated to believe that we needed that, and it was good for us to learn how to get a job.
Yes.
So then we're bored in school, then we eat junk food, which tastes good and is kind of exciting for a couple of minutes.
Candy.
Oh, well, there's 100 different kinds, or maybe 1,000, and fruit juice and crunchy, all the crunchies. The crunchy is bad for the teeth. I could go on for an hour just the damage from
big time commodity at Rainbow. I heard candy. Yum yum.
Well, if you want to rave about city garbage in the country, you're free to do so.
Yeah.
There was in the Rainbow Gathering. I went up to a camp called Green Path, far away from the ghetto.
And where I was in the ghetto.
Well, that's your problem.
I was downtown.
That's your
I didn't
problem.
know that though.
Well, yes, you did. You didn't seek something else.
Okay.
You could have gone out in the bush and camped under the trees in 1 second. So it's always choice. See, this is something people whine. I can whine, but I'd rather tease because you choose it anyway. But we become robots and slaves to the system, and then we choose what they give us.
Okay.
Or sell us, even better. There was a book by Vance Packard. He had brilliant titles, and they were exposés. The Nation of Strangers, The Hidden Persuaders, The Strangers' Sexual Wilderness.
Oh, boy.
And these described what I'm sharing about. But most people were so busy indoors cleaning and eating and planning and TV.
Mating on Facebook, some say.
Mating on Facebook. Well, cyber sex is popular. It's kind of distracting. It's not really the real thing. Even underwear is an obsession. Like all of the clothes that were sold, who made them? We don't know. A factory. So in permaculture, we want to localize our lives so we know where it was made.
There's a synchronicity with this. This was given to me by, is it Dave Mendenhall, Bill? And he was helping on the show before this. Last time he gave me a cucumber randomly was last year when you were on the show.
Well, synchronicity strikes again. Maybe it's everywhere.
I'm going to eat that.
So synchronicity may be what we just call random coincidence.
Yeah.
But back to Freud, just to Freud for a second.
Sure.
He discovered the subconscious, not the first person. And he wanted to be a healer, a heroic healer of the subconscious. It didn't really work. They would just talk, and then no touchy-feely. So then he found cocaine. Freud was the first advertised cocaine addict in the world, started a trend of nerve drugs. Now 50 million people are taking nerve drugs every day in America. Or maybe 100 million. What is there, 300 million people in America? And there's at least 50 million hooked on drugs every day. And how many of those drugs? Half of them are on nerve drugs to calm down, to speed up, you know, and then the other half are on medical drugs from the hospitals. So it's a big industry. And where's nature and organic living in that? They're like divorced. I mean, they're like they're worlds apart.
And we live in square houses, but nature is based on geometry.
Well, spirals, curves.
Spirals, curves.
Yeah. In fact, even the floor here, there's square room, and the floor has square tiles. And even in the third world, they have square tiles.
Okay.
So we're programmed from birth, born into a square room. See the great satire, Meaning of Life, but with Monty Python, where they show the birthing thing? And it was terrifyingly funny. And so we're imprinted with electronics, drugs, square rooms, hurry up, strangers, that mean nurses, and the doctor, and he comes in like God to save the baby and the mom. Or at least, and they call it the Pitocin drip. Is she on the drip now? You know, before the labor? So I'm working on a birth trauma satire, Robin Williams style.
No, really?
And we're all imprinted with our birth trauma. So I lived with a woman who had 4 home births, 3 in water, and nursed for 10 years. Nursed for 10 years. Well, the kids. And we got to parent each one differently because they are different. See, I treat all the kids the same. No, every kid is different. Every baby is different. So they're teaching me how and who and what they are. Have you heard of elimination timing?
No.
No, elimination timing is where we don't use diapers, and the babies teach us when they're going to pee and poop.
The other way around.
Yeah. See, they're teaching us rather than us. Well, are you going to, you know, like schedules? Schedules is an industrial plot. So if you get out in nature, where's the schedules and squares in nature? So in Portland has a few magical things: the the ancient lava Mount Tabor, the river. The lava field.
Yeah, the river mean the ocean.
Well,
near St. John's, the Willamette, and the Columbia.
Well, yeah, the vortex there where they come together, and the Columbia actually, the tide comes all the way up to Sobeys Island.
And what a vortex it is!
I found it slightly depressing, actually.
Yeah, that is.
I don't know why, but there's a vortex.
We could discuss that. Yeah.
It's kind of a long history thing, but back to the health. So. Love your body is a sort of a mantra of being present and what you need now.
Now, it sounds very interesting for me, this birth trauma aspect and the rebirthing and the breathing aspect of healing, is that the world as it is today and the world that we discuss on many shows on Outside the Box, it deals with, as I've been saying, it's not simply a conspiracy, it's a breakdown in relationships between the brother and the sister, the father and the mother. And some could say the son and the daughter. And if we talk about our breakup in relationships stemming back down to birth trauma, first of all, give us some specific examples of birth trauma. I've never really thought deeply about what were we discussing